Welcome to Week in Horror.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
The podcast that deep dives all the films you love.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The week they dropped in horror history.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
With your horror hosts, JL. When a shirtless Sam Elliott with no mustache takes out an alligator with an oar, that's the kind of movie I'm looking for. Eugene.
And we're just casually just like, yeah, so that's probably the best way to go, light someone on fire with gasoline.
Alex.
It would not be an original lineup if I didn't have fucking technical difficulty.
Johnny O.
Now, it's not an Amityville, or wherever it's Amityville.
And Aaron.
They got manure to work with and nothing grew from it.
News, trailers, trivia, special guests, and more.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Live show every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central at youtube.com/weekinhorror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
And wherever you listen to podcasts.
One by one, we will take you.
Week in Horror. Stay scared. Oh, you gotta love that intro. Welcome, horror fans. It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. It means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast. The only podcast that won't be threatened by walking meatloaf. And if you, dear horror fanatic, are listening to us at the top of the week, remember, we do this live every Wednesday right here on YouTube. So come and hang out with us. See all the stuff our editor doesn't want you to see. This week, we are covering select horror films released August 20th through August 26th. Thank you all so much for joining us, or me. I am JL. I'm supposed to have Eugene with me tonight, but he may be caught up in something, so he may be a little bit late to the show. But that's okay. We have a bunch of amazing things to talk to you about. I hope all of you are doing well. Thank you so much for being here tonight. As a matter of fact, all of you amazing people that make this show possible. Let's go and first and foremost, get up that banner. That's our amazing Patreon banner. All the incredible people that make this show possible. We love every single one of you. Thank you very, very much. As a matter of fact, I think I need to update this because I think we had someone renew their Patreon, but unfortunately, I don't think I updated the name. Let me make sure. I want to make sure that I actually got their name on there because they deserve to have their name on there. Give me 1 second. There we go. I need to do that. So let me see. I'm fairly certain I had him on there. Let me see. Maybe I didn't. Oops, that's my bad. So you know what I need to do? I need to actually adjust that and make sure that his name is on there. And now it is. There we go. So that's the updated list. Sorry, my bad. So that's the updated list. All the amazing people that helped to make the show possible. So we do appreciate every single one of you. We love you for all your support because your support helps us to do all the cool stuff that we do on the outside of the show, like all the cool film production stuff and, keeps this show going. So thank you very, very much. But let's see. Who do we have in the live chat tonight? As you can see, I'm trying to spin for time in case Eugene is on his way. All right, first and foremost, we got Casey Cooper's here. Good to see you, Casey Cooper, who was here 26 hours early and then also 50 minutes early. So master of time and space, that man. Good to see you, Casey Cooper. Travis Brown as well. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Sherry Tilley, it's always good to see you. Thanks so much for hanging out. I see there's an amazing conversation about Dungeons & Dragons Online going on the live chat. So thank you so much for being here. Gavlar Hand of Zod, coolest name on the internet. Thank you so much for being here, Gavlar. Appreciate it. It's always good to see you. And I see as well... Liam Wakefield is here. Good to see you, Liam Wakefield. And as a matter of fact, we had 3 new people become members of the Army of the Dead. And that's Liam Wakefield, Sir Chasm, and Joshua Lee all became fresh members of the Army of the Dead. And we do appreciate that, guys. We appreciate all your support. That rocks. Yes, you can support the show with memberships here, channel memberships here on YouTube because we finally got monetized. It's pretty amazing. Oh, there he is.
What's up, everybody?
So how have you been?
Super busy. Just finished up basically a walkthrough blocking rehearsal for a zombie film we're shooting next week.
Very cool. Awesome. I did see the post going about that you needed zombies for the 25th.
Yes. So as many people want to come out, we'll accommodate them.
Awesome. Zombies. Always fun to play zombies. Let's see who else we got in the live chat tonight. I see we got Sarcasm is here. Good to see you, Sarcasm. I see Charlie Welch as well, the only man on the internet you never make a bet with. Good to see you, Charlie. Says, yo, JL. Thanks so much for being here, bud. Do appreciate it. Zero is here. Good to see you, Zero. Thanks so much for hanging out. Says, we have such podcasts to show you. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Oh, absolutely. And I think I caught up with everybody in the live chat currently. So a huge thank you to everybody that's here. We got some stuff we want to talk about, and I'm glad that Eugene is here because I want to get his opinion on some things. Something really, really intriguing. There's Tony Regime. Good to see you, Tony Regime, and Angel Rivera. Thanks so much for being here. Angel Rivera says, if I were in the mainland, I would volunteer to be a zombie. I think you'd make an excellent zombie, Angel.
That would be awesome.
Oh, hell yeah. And Tony Regime with all the obligatory ghosts. Do appreciate that, Tony. Sarcasm calls us the demonic duo. Awesome. I like that. Do appreciate there. I did not miss you, Gosh of Heckfire. I literally said you have the greatest name on the internet. I said, Gosh of Heckfire, greatest name on the internet. I would never miss you, bud.
I do like that name.
It's an awesome name, you know? All right. Yeah, there is. Wait a second. Gavlar the Hand of Zod. Gavlar Hand of Zod and Gosh of Heckfire. Those are both awesome names. Gavlar the Hand of Zod and Gosh of Heckfire.
It sounds so epic.
It's epic names. You know? It's because our live chat is fucking epic. They're all of them. Every single one of them.
They really are. They're epic because they're here with us.
Absolutely. And that's an objective fact of reality. You can take that to the bank.
Yes.
And so, a couple of things, some interesting stuff. So, first and foremost, and I had to run this, I saw this, and I was like, we have to talk about this on the show. And Strange Lex 790, good to see you. Do we have some gifted memberships? We did.
Ooh.
Yes, Nemo813 in the house gifted 5 Week in Horror memberships. So welcome, Sherry Tilly, Angel Rivera, Tony Regime, wrote it no last name, Gabba Gabba to you, sir. And of course, Strange Lex 790 to the Army of the Dead. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nemo813. You rock. And Brian Powell, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Yes, Raven Darkstar, you are epic. Raven Dark. Yes. Come on, Raven Darkstar. That's an epic name.
There's a lot of good names.
A lot of
y'all doing
names.
for tag or like coming up with screen names, but y'all are awesome at it. I'm just Eugene.
What was it? You just reminded me of what was that? Those guys who were doing that review of Beowulf, and they were looking at that scene when Beowulf like punches through the eye of the sea serpent. And he's like, Beowulf! And then the critic was like, man, I hope if I ever do that, I have something better to yell than Mike. All right. So I came across something, and this is just it has to be seen to be believed. So it's a movie. It's a legit movie, like a legitimate movie, and it is called Slaughterhouse. And there's a trailer, and I have to show it to you. So I'm not going to spoil this at all. I'm just going to play it, and I'm just going to let you watch it. This is the trailer for Slaughterhouse. You look at me like I'm fucking making this shit up.
No, I'm ready. Nothing surprises me anymore.
All right, let's cue up the terror tube.
So cute. What is that?
That's a sloth. If you're interested, I could sell you that one.
They're really that slow?
Maybe they just tricked us all.
In the jungle, she's a beta, but out here, she's an alpha.
Alpha?
It is a wild animal. You don't even know what it eats.
Alpha?
It's a slaughterhouse.
Oh, God. Alpha!
Yes, Slaughterhouse.
I don't know why when he told me the name, I didn't think the animal sloth. I thought it was like some kind of name or whatever, like some family legend or something like that. But no, we're talking like literal sloth animal. You know what? Why not?
In the era of Cocaine Bear and Methigators, that yes, Slaughterhouse is an actual thing. Gravitas, fucking Gravitas put this thing out. So yes, Slaughterhouse in theaters August 30th.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you know exactly what you're getting into. So you just run with it. It's like, oh, listen, we're gonna make this thing a little cute, it's a little adorable, and it's gonna like go and like kill people in very slow fashion. Like
we definitely want to know. Obviously, this is, I mean, it's the horror genre, so nothing is off limits. And of course, a movie where a sloth is a slasher. A slasher film, sloth, I don't fucking know, but a slaughter film, I'm not sure. But we definitely want to know what you guys think of that. Absolutely. So we've already got some opinions in the live chat. Zero says it has laughter in it. This is true. This is true. And Joshua Lee says, I'm suddenly intrigued. Absolutely. Zero says it's a fun name. And Sherry Tilly says, oh no, LOL. Let me see who else we got. Liam Wakefield, Slaughterhouse. Absolutely. Zero says, no. Sherry Tilly likes it, laughs. Zero says, no. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think Casey Cooper gave an oh yay. Yeah, absolutely. And Zero says, that's supposed to be funny. I think it is. It's just ridiculous is what it is. It's like fucking Lamageddon. It's like Velocipaster. Okay. It's, you see the title and that's exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's snakes on a plane.
Snakes on a plane.
Yeah, it's exactly, we're going to have a sloth. We're going to make this thing cute and adorable. It's going to kill people. You know exactly what you're getting into. You're either going to love this type of movie or it's not for you.
Exactly. Right. Tony Regime says, Eugene, just listen to Careful with That Axe, Eugene by Pink Floyd. There aren't that many directors that have their own theme song.
That is very true. And I do love some Pink Floyd. So as soon as I started getting the Pink Floyd back in the day, I was like, ooh, it's a really good song.
Joshua Lee says it definitely has Sharknado vibes. Absolutely. It all kind of kicked off with Sharknado, this kind of like ridiculousness. Tony Regime says Slaughterhouse is a great title, but an anteater would be scarier. That's true. Giant anteaters are actually very scary animals. They can disembowel you with one swipe because those claws are so long.
That takes away part of the charm. As you look at the sloth, and it's cute and adorable and cuddly. Like, it's not trying to scare anybody. Listen, a sloth is not a scary animal.
And it moves slow. It's like, slow.
It's, no! As it slowly crawls towards you. I mean, come on.
Definitely not the kind of animal that, like, is behind grabbing you and yanking you off screen like we saw in that one shot. So it's more like, hey, stop pulling at me. What are you doing?
Yeah, what
kind of leverage? I mean, you think about the leverage that takes. It'd be more apt to grab you and pull itself onto you instead of like dragging you away. So very, very, very humorous take on sloths there. It should be really good. I would bet that do you remember those memes of like the sloth, like sloth vibes? Where it's like the sloth is like whispering to you like terrible, horrible things. You ever seen those memes? I get a feeling that kind of inspires this. Travis Brown says Disney will use their legal ninja if it is the sloth from Zootopia. Very good. Liam Wakefield says The Haunting of Ant Hill House. Oh, very good. I like that. Nice. Anna's here. Good to see you. Anna, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. Zero says, in my opinion, this is strike one, Gravitas. Strike one. Oh, very good. But yes, Slaughterhouse is a thing, and it will see release August 30th in theaters. So go and see it if you dare. I will likely wait until it comes on streaming so I can check it out, but you can guarantee I'm going to check it out. I will.
It's going to be a fun movie.
Because Cocaine Bear was good. Shockingly, that movie was actually quite good.
I did not like Cocaine Bear.
You didn't?
I did not like it. I thought the pacing wasn't great. It had all the best scenes in the trailer, because the best part about that movie is what the EMTs show up. When the EMTs show up and all hell breaks loose, that was hilarious. But in terms of like how the rest of it played out, it just kind of felt off. It felt like it was trying too hard at moments.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely was.
Yeah. And whereas you take a movie, even a movie, say, for example, like Sharknado never feels like it's trying. Sharknado's like, listen, this is just what we got.
Wait. So you're gonna say that Ian Ziering jumping into the mouth of an airborne great white with a chainsaw is not trying too hard?
No, because they're like, this is just what it is. If you've stayed with the movie to this point, you're going to accept him going into a mouth with a chainsaw. That happens to save the one girl out of like with thousands of sharks, the one girl that got eaten by a shark. Whatever. I'm already in at this point.
We've suspended disbelief so much we don't even know if we can get it back.
Yeah.
Rodin Name says Cocaine Bear was fun. Oh, Cocaine Bear was fun, but I wouldn't call it good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was just silly madness, and plus the actors are good. I love Margot Martindale. She's absolutely amazing. Ray Liotta actually turned it in, coming up on his last roles before he passed away. I'm glad that he had some fun as an actor to go out and just be like, he can still do goofy fucking movies, which was great. Travis Brown says, I think I share on the Discord of another cocaine animal that's kicked. Yeah, there's I think cocaine raccoons.
Oh, it's Crackoon.
Crackoons.
Yeah.
That's it. Crackoons. Sarcasm said, yes, Sharknado literally jumped the shark or jumped into the shark. Absolutely. It did. Yes, rest in peace, Ray Liotta. It's a shame. We got a great body of work from him, his entire filmography. But that's glad that, and of course, Cocaine Bear is not his final film. He still has a few other films that are going to see posthumous releases. But yeah, it was fun to see him just be zany, be a zany actor again. It's a lot of fun. Rodin saying brings up Meth Gator. Fuck yes.
Yep.
Nemo 813, Cocaine Bear 2, Goldilocks in the Crack House. That's amazing. What does a cocaine bear do in the woods? Rails. All right. So the other thing that I wanted to throw by, there's something interesting, something it's not relatively new. It's something that's been going on social media, primarily on TikTok. And this is an intriguing thing as far as storytelling goes. And because it's about a horror movie that released in 1987 called Zapotha.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
I've never have.
There's a reason you haven't heard of it, and that's because Zapotha does not exist. Okay, so apparently there is this trend going on online, and this is going to lead to a question that I wanted to ask you and ask the audience. So there's a trend online, on TikTok primarily, where somebody kicked off. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull it up for you. So Zapotha is TikTok's viral fake movie meme. All right, so the whole thing started when a TikTok user named Emily Jeffrey started a video by saying, what if we created a fake 80s horror movie called Zapotha? And started commenting, oh my God, you look exactly like that one girl from Zapotha. Or wait, you look exactly like blank from Zapotha. Only posting these on every single thirst trap video we see. Together, we will witness a new lore develop, main characters will emerge, etc., and we can convince thousands of people that this weirdly titled 80s horror film actually exists. So it worked. So the whole thing was planted. It was like this, like that was her intention. And so she kicked this off, and everybody's now running with it. Now, it's gone so far that there are now fully fledged characters with backstories. There are scenes that people do reaction videos to, like the forest scene or the scene with the dog. There's like, and it is grown into something way bigger than I think it ever should have. But that's the beauty. I mean, that's how creepypasta started. It's how Slender Man became a thing. And so this fake horror movie from 1987 that never existed now suddenly has all of the story elements that we're talking like big, deep, resonant themes and all kinds of stuff going through that have been invented by the users of TikTok and other areas of social media. So my question is, given this, How long do you think it will be until we actually see this movie made?
Oh man, there probably are. If aside from the strike, I'm not going to put the strike in the factor because obviously we're being the strike. But I guarantee you, somebody's already in the works.
Somebody's already putting it together.
I bet you there's already script out there.
Oh shit!
Not fully released. I'm just saying somebody on their computer probably has a script already.
Zapotha, we're gonna find out like when the strike's over, like 2024, Zapotha's gonna be on the blacklist.
Because like how long before you had the Slender Man like mythology before there was actually Slender Man movie? It's pretty quick. There's a Slender Man game that came out before the movie.
That's right.
So you also the internet creates something, someone's going to jump on top of it because that is free marketing. You can make the movie doesn't have to be good. You make a movie for $1 million and then release a trailer and like, hey, and what you do is this. You don't date it 1987, you date it 2023, 2024, whenever, and you go remade from 1987.
So I like it. And let's see. Sarcasm says viral advertising without a product. Someone's working on a treatment already. I have no doubt that there's likely several treatments out there because while people have come up with all this information about the movie, I've checked it out. There's not a lot of cohesion. They're pretty much just making up elements. But as far as like narrative, like cohesively narrative, it doesn't really go anywhere. So like an act 1, act 2, act 3, structurally speaking from, beginning to end. But no doubt that somebody's already put together a treatment. It was curious as like someone, started this, kicked this idea off into the internet sphere. And then it has taken off and exploded into this thing. And I have no doubt that we will see a Zapotha film come out sometime. Like someday there will be a Zapotha film that will probably be stylized to look like it's in the 80s. So I just kind of didn't know if you knew about that. It's gotten really intriguing. A lot of interesting, like some of it is just goofy as shit, but some of it is kind of like, wow, it's like someone put some really serious effort into developing the story.
There are a lot of some like really good writers, people who write like some fan fiction on stuff where like you should be a legitimate writer. I read a thing and a guy wrote, this is how Game of Thrones should have ended. And he based it off of the same amount of episodes. He's not adding episodes, taking away episodes, and gave this super detailed breakdown, character arcs, dialogue, motivations, and moments here and moments there that take, super detailed. And he mainly focuses on the last like 3 or 4 episodes of season 8. And I will tell you right now, it was intriguing. It was fascinating. His ending was so much better than the actual show. I was like, yeah, I would watch that. And they're actually started a petition. So his version was so well received, they started a petition for HBO to fund it to redo the ending of Game of Thrones to his version.
Oh, that's very idealistic. I don't think that would ever happen because that amount of money would be insane. Not to mention getting the actors back, and it's just everybody's moved on.
Oh no, it's not going to happen. But the fact that you're able to get a petition to go like, hey, just check this out. Yeah, it'll never happen. Yeah. But just saying. But what I'm basically showcasing is there are some really talented writers out there that will play with the idea a little bit, and I guarantee you're going to get like to talk about the fleshed out characters and the fleshed out plot points, and someone's going to take a run with it.
Right. Andrew Rivera says, didn't something like this happen before with Tall Man or Stick Man or something? It was even a movie. Yes, Slender Man eventually got his own film, and that one, number one, there was like AR games, and then there was another game, and then of course there was predominantly what kicked it into the gear to get a movie done was the Marble Hornets series, because the Marble Hornets web series was dropped, and that was popular enough to say, hey, we could probably make a movie off of this, and there was a film done off of the Slender Man mythos that was not bad. Pacing was a little off on it, and some of the effects I thought were they could have been better, and I thought there could have been a better utilization of the bad guy instead of just being like this ethereal force out there in the world. I thought they could have like gone a little deeper into the mythology, but otherwise, from a visual perspective, it wasn't terrible. It could have been a lot worse.
You have to save the turd polisher for the actual movies we're talking about.
I am not turd by. I said the movie wasn't great. The movie wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It
that movie was a pretty bad movie.
It definitely could have been a hell of a lot worse.
We've seen a hell of a lot worse.
That's true. The bar is very, very low here at Week in Horror. It absolutely is. The bar for a good project.
Watch.
Exactly. I mean, the obscure shit. I've already put together season 5, like all the movies for season 5, and it's up there on the Discord. So, like, season 5 schedule is all set and done. So you can see some of the amazing films, because we're gonna, there's some amazing ones we're gonna talk about. But there is a dumpster full of shit that we are going to be watching. It's fucking amazing. I cannot wait. To just to dive into some of it. Oh man, because each one has their place in horror history. They absolutely do. But speaking of horror movies, we have some to talk about tonight. And by the way, just to throw it out there, if anybody out there who listens to this, if you listen to this on the podcast sites, or if you listen to here wherever, if you've contributed to the Sapotha mythology, let us know. I'm kind of curious if anybody who listens to the show has actually contributed to like this series, like what's going on here. So I'm very curious, because what's interesting is that if the movie gets made and utilizes elements that were put out by other people, does that present a rights issue? Or does the fact that it all exists on social media, is it like a rights issue with TikTok? Or is there no rights issue whatsoever because this has never really been broached before? Like, who owns the rights to Sapotha?
And see, that's a great question. If the internet generates something, and is it a matter of the first? But maybe it could be just the first person who copyrights it. Maybe it's the first person that copyrights a script. Now you give some flexibility, because you cannot, in terms of story-wise, you can't copy like a concept.
Right.
You can only copy an actual full screenplay. So, but a screenplay generated by internet, I don't know.
I'm very curious.
If you post an idea in a forum and then someone uses that in a film, a lot of times it's really hard, really hard to get it. A buddy of mine made a short film, time travel film, where a guy jumped off the Empire State Building with goggles on, and then he needed to fall to generate the time travel to go back in time. He made this film like in 2007, several years before Men in Black 3.
Nice.
And I mean, like, same goggles, same everything. And he kind of talked about maybe a legal situation, because I mean, it was out several years before Men in Black was even created, and there's no recourse on it at all whatsoever.
Well, and what's interesting isn't Men in Black Universal?
I don't know.
Because yeah, okay, so Men in Black is a Universal production. And Universal was also charged with taking the idea for Renfield from that dude who did the short film. Is there a trend here?
Maybe they're scouring for short films.
Shame, Universal.
Yeah. They're the George Lopez of movie studios.
The Carlos Mencia of movie studios. Oh man. Oh, and I will even say, and it wasn't Universal Studios, but I will fight. I will die on this one hill. Like of the few hills I'll die on, I will die on the hill that somebody got a hold of my script for my my alligator survival horror film about the girl trapped in the house, and the house with the alligator, the paralyzed girl. I'm telling you, someone got a hold of my script and gave it to those guys, and they made Crawl out of that. Because it is just too coincidental. I put that script out to too many people. Somebody snagged it, and somebody ran with this. Like, no way I could possibly prove this, but the timing is just too suspect. I had the script that I wanted, and I couldn't get it done because it was too expensive. And then all of a sudden, 4 years later, there's fucking Crawl. Protagonist trapped in house with alligators during a hurricane. All they changed was the state, and they added her dad. oh, her dad's involved, and it's in Florida instead of Georgia. And I'm like,
That's like when Vanilla Ice stole the beat from Queen. And he was like, see, it's like, yeah,
see, it's different. It's different, man. Oh, just change one of the beats, then ting, din, 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 din. Fucking douche. All right, but yeah, that's a very curious conversation. I'm looking forward to see what the future has regarding Zapotha. But we do have some horror films to talk about, and I don't think I'm going to break out the Turd Polisher 9000. I don't think we need to, because I think we have good movies to talk about tonight. One of them not so great, but we already know that one.
Yeah,
but the other ones are good, in my opinion. At least they are.
We'll dive into them.
All right, dude. What do we have up first? Let's kick us off. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. If my internet will cooperate. All right.
Whenever you're ready.
First up, we have The Selling, which was released August 21st, 2012. Roll it.
What kind of real estate agent reads Nietzsche and tries to get his clients to not buy a house?
It was the quote of the day. I'm Richard Scarry, like the children's book author.
What children's book author?
There was a children's book author named Richard Scarry. Would you like to see the place?
Yeah, sure.
Hello?
Haunted? What, like by a ghost?
Are you here to see the house?
I would focus just on getting rid of the property as quickly as possible.
This is the pantry. Lots of cupboard space. A bit drafty sometimes. This is the kitchen. Running water.
Is this house haunted, Mr. Scary?
Haunted?
Yes, haunted.
This house?
Yes.
Haunted.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes the bedroom closet becomes a portal to the spirit realm.
Hi, I'm Father Jimmy. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh. You're not Richard!
What gave me away?
Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Did you think you could get away from me so easily, Richard? Richard, why are you acting so strangely? Honey.
All right. That is The Selling, directed by Emily Liu, and it stars Gabriel Danny, Etta Devine, Simon Helberg, Jocelyn Town, Barry Boswick, and Jeanette Varney. And basically, you have an honest real estate agent who is trying to kind of not sell this haunted house, but the couple who owns this haunted house is trying to get rid of it. And shit gets weird. It doesn't really get like full real, but
it yeah, I wouldn't say shit gets real, but I mean it gets this movie. Okay, so the movie itself is very, very fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Janet Varney is in it, and those who know Janet Varney, she's the voice of Korra from the Airbender series. But Janet Varney is hysterical as an actress. I mean, she's got a great mastery of the comedy. Everybody in this was on point. I just loved the dialogue in it is fantastic. The actor's talented to deliver the dialogue with the appropriate nuance, because it's just funny as fuck. Now, I don't, if somebody doesn't find this funny, I mean, come on. The way that predominantly, I think the driving force of it is two things. One is Gabriel Diani. Gabriel Diani as Richard was fantastic because of the almost deadpan way he deals with the shit that like there's 12 ghosts in the house, so he's dealing with that. So his acting is top notch. And fucking Barry Bostwick, who just knocked it out of the park as Father Jimmy. I thought he was fucking amazing. As because it's almost like, how would you react in the event that you found out like the supernatural is real. But it's an interesting what I got from it was this. Richard Scarry, his mother has cancer and he needs to raise money for her cancer treatments. He works in real estate, he makes decent money, but he needs more. So he buys a house with the intent of flipping it. But then he finds out that it's chock full of ghosts. Well, what the hell is he going to do? He's now sunk his money. He has a financial investment in the house. He has to flip it to make the profit. He can't just sit on it anymore. So he's driven by his need. I've got to sell the damn house for my mother, but there's fucking ghosts in the house. So like the way he just deals with it, especially the tours when he's like, yeah, it's supernatural. So what are you going to do? Bleeding walls? You know, it's just a feat where all of a sudden, all of the horrible supernatural shit become features of the property. like every time the dead girl appears in the bathroom mirror, and he's like, they scream and he pops out. That doesn't happen at all in the master bathroom. So you don't have to. So I love the way he plays it. Not to mention Barry Bostwick killing it as the Catholic priest. Who is just so fucking passive aggressive until he realizes that the supernatural is real. And then all of a sudden now, the stakes are up, and the way he freaks out is just so much fun. I've thoroughly loved this one. It's just goofy, it's funny, and of course, well acted and a nice cute little story. I just wish more people had heard about it.
I like that it does play on the trope of the haunted house, because a lot of times you have in the Amityville series and in a lot of the other hauntings, it's like, here's this super creepy house, then the brand new family moves in, and then all this crazy stuff happens in this house. I can't appreciate the fact that it's like, as he's giving the tour, it's like, oh no, this faucet comes on. Look, running water. Look, as he's walking through, the cabinets are opening and closing.
Plenty of cabinet space.
And on top of that, you still have people that are like, okay.
Even the old man was like, how much you asking for it? He was like, no.
Yeah. It's me, I'm out.
I'm so buying it. I'm so buying it. I absolutely am. Nope. It's the absurdity of it. But it's also I like, because maybe I went a little too deep in it, because the movie itself doesn't take itself very seriously. It's literally about a guy trying to turn a house that has ghosts in it, and the comedic events that take place from there, especially when he finally gets possessed and tries to kidnap his friend or kidnap one of his coworkers to sacrifice her. But I enjoyed that it held up. It's cohesive. It never really falls apart towards the end. And it's really the acting that just drives it. Makes it hilarious. The freaking chemistry between the chemistry between Gabriel Diani and Jonathan Klein, who plays Dave. The chemistry between the two of them was amazing. Was absolutely on point. And I love that it was like, stop, because he keeps trying to remind people, it's like, this is my partner Dave. And it's like, but we're not gay. He's like, he's like, you got to stop saying that, because nobody thinks we're gay until you bring it up. It's like, I just don't want people to get the wrong idea. So it's the on point humor, whereas in like pointing out where people jump to these conclusions and just trying to smooth things over, and how depending upon our needs we need to. I love that it's a reflection of reality. It's taken to its most absurd point. The problem I saw with this is this was one of the hazards. The reason nobody really heard about this film, and why I introduced a number of people to it over on the Discord, was because it was a crowdfunded film. And unfortunately, as good as this was, and it could have been better. If this had gotten like studio funding, could you imagine how solid this film would have been? But being a crowdfunded film, they were able to put together enough money to make the film. But unfortunately, not to really market it to a wide audience, which is why it's now on Tubi. And I think when I found it, it was like $1.99 on Amazon. So I kind of like dug through Amazon and found this one called The Selling. And I was like, what the hell is this? All right, I'm bored. I'll check it out. And I did not regret it. So that, I think The Selling is an excellent example of both the pros and cons of crowdfunding a film. Because sure, you may be able to get the money to get it together, okay, and maybe do what you want. But ultimately, marketing a film and putting the film out there and making sure that enough eyes can see it, or see the kind of or see the merchandise, or see the advertisements you have for it, is where you're going to secure your investment and get your money back. But unfortunately, it's really not there. So they kind of got to just like make it and put it out on the internet, and you see the money kind of trickle in as each view goes, which I think they definitely deserve. They deserve to get all the views.
Yeah, see, and this, you got to think about when this film came out. crowdfunding was still very new. I don't know if they went through like GoFundMe or whatever the options are out there, Indiegogo, something like that. I don't know the process that they went through for crowdfunding. But you got to think, this film came out in 2012. Crowdfunding's new. You see crowdfunders all the time, GoFundMe's constantly. Like that's just a thing. And I've had buddies who have raised $25,000-$30,000 to make a film. We had Adam Leader and Richard Oakes. Remember, they crowdfunded.
That's right.
Their film Host. They raised about $25,000 for it. So it's more of a commonplace now. But also, when you think back, when you're talking about budgeting a film, you make a good point in terms of marketing. The budget, just because you get the film made, doesn't necessarily mean the film's done. Right. Because you have to cut trailers for it, and you have to push it out there. And even if you get your film on, say, Netflix, you shoot something, Netflix says, yeah, it's good enough, we'll throw it on the server. Doesn't necessarily mean Netflix is going to put any money towards marketing it, because they put stuff on every day that you've never heard of. Why? Because it's just filler content. Why not?
That library is deep.
That library gets really, really deep. And most of the stuff on there has no marketing push at all. And if you look at publicity companies, because you have companies in LA that specialize in marketing publicity, and you pay them a monthly retainer fee, usually starts around $5,000 a month, and they'll handle your social media. They contact like Entertainment Weekly and contact other media outlets. So that way you score interviews. They're the ones to help you get on, for example, like the Jimmy Fallon show. They're the ones that have all the connect to help you market your film based on the budget you have and you pay those companies your monthly fee until it's like, okay, it's ran its course. Thank you very much. You basically cut your subscription, and then they're like, okay, cool, here you go. And they move on to the next film.
Yeah. Tony Regime would say, JL, you'd only buy it so you can invite PhD Tony to stay and show him Ghosts Are Real. I absolutely would. In a heartbeat. I would. There's no doubt about that. Zero says, oh my God, I just saw that Eugene has a t-shirt with Shirley Manson. Mad respect. And then wrote it. Noah's name says, that t-shirt is garbage.
We actually we went and saw them last month in concert.
Awesome.
So cool. Yeah, Garbage put on a fantastic show.
I really like Shirley Manson in the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I would not think that she could play a T-1000, but she did.
I can totally see her playing a T-1000.
Well, one thing I also love that's I think is important about the selling is that the selling is the result is okay. So the actors you saw in that, Gabriel Diani and Etta Devine are partners. They're not only work partners but also life partners. They're a couple. So the two of them have pretty much finagled their presence in the stand-up comedy industry and been able to kind of develop their careers from there. That they've gone on to do a number of things. Gabriel Diani is also a writer. He wrote The Selling. But if you'd like to see really what they're capable of, because it's gotten some excellent reviews, they recently came out with Diani and Divine Meet the Apocalypse. So which came out in 2016. That's the most recent thing they've done. And while I know it's been a few years since that, but they got a same kind of like group of actors, like the same stable of actors. They developed their friends over time. So if you look at that one, Diani and Divine Meet the Apocalypse, it's got Etta Devine, Gabriel Diani, Barry Bostwick's back, Janet Varney is back, a number of people. But they also managed to get Armin Shimmerman in there from Star Trek, and of course Kristen Vangsness from Criminal Minds, and Jonathan Silverman as well from Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah. So they really are up and coming, and I like the fact that they've managed to develop the stable of actors. And I think that's oftentimes where you get some of the best creative projects, is a group of individuals that really understand each other and speak the same kind of shorthand and are able to go out and produce films. And I strongly recommend that if you haven't seen it yet. Diani and Divine Meet the Apocalypse. So really good stuff. But the question that we have, what's the question that we have for the audience? Because somebody brought it up. Because I would live in that house just so I could show people that ghosts are real.
The question I like to ask is, would you live in a haunted house?
The answer's yes for me. I fucking would. Would you?
No.
Why?
Have you seen a horror film?
Dude, I would be like in scary movies. Like, what are you doing? That's just a skeleton.
No. That's a whole lot of no. I don't like anything that I can't shoot with a gun. So, and after hearing the stuff, because we recently wrapped a production and we shot in a house that was built in 1907. And
that's wild because the house they used in The Selling was built in 1906.
Yeah. First of all, they make some fantastic houses. I'm not going to lie.
Do. That's why that scene is amazing when the priest is like, "Oh, God, that stained glass is beautiful. And look at those stairs. Look at the width. They just don't make them like this anymore." Like they don't.
That's so true. But the stories she talked about in terms of she's never had anything like super big or anything. She was like, yeah, there's a couple of spirits, and she talked about the history of the house because it was like the original owner went off, fought in World War I, not 2, 1.
Wow.
And came back, and the whole story, they got into the entertainment industry and also the kind of stuff at this house. So the house is super incredible.
But you still wouldn't live in one if it was confirmed to be haunted.
No.
By spirit.
Why do I need complications? Is that ghost paying rent? Is it going to help do laundry, do dishes? Is it going to help cook? Maybe I'll consider it. But something that pops up in my mirror or wants to pull on covers while I'm asleep? No, thank you.
Or like sludge coming out of the toilet and stuff.
Yeah.
Occasionally,
normally the blood gets off on the second floor.
Occasionally, the bathroom closet turns into a spirit to a portal from the spirit plane.
I've seen poltergeist. You want to climb in? You want to go in that closet? I don't think so.
Oh man. So selling points of The Selling. Absolutely. And let me see. Tony Regime says, Eugene, check out the collaborations Garbage did with Brody Dahl and Screaming Females. Shirley Manson is in top form. Awesome. Thank you for the recommendation.
I'm definitely going to have to save that. Check that out afterwards.
Raven, let's see. So Sherry Tilly says, yes, I would definitely, would live in a haunted house. Zero says depends. I think it probably depends upon what kinds of spirits are in there. If they're just like ghosts of like people, then no worry about it. But if it's like something like malevolent or scary, then probably not. Angel Rivera says, oh, hell yeah, they would. And Travis Brown's pointing out Quark from DS9 and Dr. Nefarious from Ratchet and Clank. Yep, good cast over there. Sir Little Wolf asks, can I bring salt? And absolutely you can bring salt. It's your house. You can bring salt in.
Yeah.
Whether the ghost will, mind, that's another question altogether. Casey Cooper says, would depend on the ghost. Liam Wakefield says, I have lived in a historically haunted house. Intriguing. Travis Brown says, yes, I would live in a haunted house to do some ghost adventuring with my girlfriend. Wrote No Less Name says, I'd make friends with the spirits, Beetlejuice ending style. Fucking A. See? Positive outlook. You need to have a positive outlook on these things. It's not like The Blackening, okay? It's literally, it's just a haunted house. You know about that movie, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. We can't all be first. We can't all die first.
No. I don't need. If I want an extra bean in my house, I'll get a pet.
Okay. Oh man. So let me see if anybody else. Zero says, I feel I should say yes. Who am I to judge? Absolutely. Sir Captain says, ghosts only appear to those who believe in them. So if you just say you don't believe, then they won't appear.
I don't know if it works that way.
Gavlar Hand of Zod says, Eugene don't need no unruly ghosts. Awesome. But yes, definitely let us know. Let us know in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror.gmail.com. Weekinhorror@gmail.com. I can't fucking talk tonight. Would you live in a haunted house if you knew it was haunted? 1 ghost, 2 ghosts, 3 ghosts, 4. Red ghost, blue ghost. Let us know. Would you live in a haunted house if you knew that it was haunted? If you knew there were spirits or spooks in there? I fucking love that scene when the ghost is like, get out. And he's trapped in the attic because they slam the door and he can't open it. They keep screaming, get out. He's like, I'm trying. That's what makes that movie amazing. It's like they're screaming at him to get out. He screams back, I'm trying.
I'm listening to you.
You're self-defeating. It's moments like that make that movie amazing. Oh man. All right. So Zero says, I mean, technically they were there first. Agreed. They were there first. So
it can be their house. I've seen the others.
This is true.
That's cool. They can have it.
Oh man, sir. Let's see. And Sarcasm says, I am saying that people who are primed to see ghosts will see them and skeptics will not. Oh, agreed. But if you knew it was there, even if you were a skeptic walking in, all of a sudden, like the wall started bleeding, and like there are flies everywhere, and like, get out, shit like that, would you stay? I would.
No.
I'd stay at least to investigate.
No, because if you don't survive the night after it says get out, you only have yourself to blame.
Oh man, who can it be now? Yes, Travis Brown, absolutely. Oh, Rodnilla's name. Now, see, look on the positive side. Just imagine how much you could charge ghost hunters.
Yeah, but you know how the cleanup fee would be when you keep finding mutilated bodies?
Why do the ghosts always kill? They don't always kill. Sometimes they're just ghosts, They're just like, ooh.
And then they kill you. Like that's
and then they kill you. That's the precursor before they kill you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, let's jump on to our next film. This one released fairly recently. This is August 23rd, 2019, and we have To Your Last Death. Let's check out this trailer. Love this movie.
Greetings, everyone. Please make yourselves at home.
What is this about?
Pronouncing your sentences.
They killed my family! They killed them all!
Poor Miriam de Calm, survivor of a horror so dark and deep it ripped her world to shreds.
What if you knew then what you know now?
What?
There's only one way for your siblings to survive this, and that's for you to go back and save them.
This is crazy!
Let's begin.
This time, the odds will be even, because you'll have an edge. You'll have foreknowledge.
We can't get out. Elevators don't work and the staircase is locked.
Screaming might not be the best idea. There are people hunting you.
That metal tray mounted in front of you is attached to a scale, which in turn is connected to a timer.
Daddy!
Whoa, dude.
Game continues. She's not leaving the arena.
You turned on me. Turned on me!
Such pretty eyes, like my Bethany. Wanna see?
Hell is empty, and the devils are here.
Time to run. You really need to run when I tell you to.
All right, so that was the trailer for To Your Last Death, which is a 2D adult, obviously, animated action horror film that was directed by Jason Axon and written by Jim Surreal and Tanya C. Klein. And, of course, starring, you saw Morena Baccarin, Ray Weiss, Bill Moseley, and William Shatner. Yes, the Shat was the overarching kind of like the narrator of the entire film. The film follows Miriam, who was voiced by Danny Lennon. And Miriam is the last survivor of this plot by her estranged father to murder all of his kids. So her brothers and her sister are dead, and she is being locked up and charged with all the murders. And a kind of cosmic entity called the Game Master appears before her, voiced by Morena Baccarin, and gives her the ability to go back in time and replay the events with the foreknowledge that she had before going in. So, to make different choices. And all of this is part of an elaborate cosmic game that these like cosmic deities like to play while they wager bets to see what's going to happen. And shit gets absolutely fucking real in this one. Kind of a combination of just, splatter movie and of course, whatever. And then of course a little bit of Saw in there with some terrific voice acting from William Shatner, Morena Baccarin, and Ray Weiss. Bill Moseley. Ray Weiss was fantastic. I didn't realize until watching this movie how often I don't hear Ray Weiss say the F word, and he says it a bunch in this one, which just sounds weird. But yeah, an absolutely bonkers film that I think is really, really neat because it showcases the fun of storytelling in alternate mediums. Because so often, the vast majority of the time we're watching movies, it's live action, and then of course, or it's actors on there on the screen. But stuff like this, or like very similar to motion comics, or a completely CG movie like friggin' Beowulf. I like being able to explore, especially in animation, because you can do things that normally would be next to impossible or extraordinarily expensive in real life. So you can do really, really cool stuff and make fantastic visuals. And as actors, we have an absolute blast with the freedom to do do the voice performance however we want while in the booth. It's like from my experience as a voice actor, it's the freest acting you can do, because you can do whatever you want physically in order to get it out in your voice. And because you're just recording audio, you can do take until you're happy with the one you got, and you spend like half the money you would spend, maybe even a quarter of the money you spend shooting take after take after take after take, which I think allows a modicum of freedom to the filmmakers and to the cast and the crew to have as much fun as possible, which is why I think movies like this stand out.
So I'm on the fence when it comes to animated stuff. There are some good animated movies out there. There's some good anime movies out there. I'm definitely there's some good ones, and I did enjoy some moments of this one. I'm on the fence, and I know we'll talk about it in a little bit. You are able to do things that you can't do with camera, because one of the things is budgetary stuff. Every frame in an animated movie costs the same. And what I mean by that is whether two characters are sitting at a table having a conversation, or you have a high-speed car chase, it's all the same, because you just have to draw it. So budgetary-wise, it could be more expensive than, let's say, a drama, but less expensive than a super action film, and you can get the same point across. And editing-wise, background-wise, you're able to do stuff that you can't do, because it's just simply, you can just draw into it. You can have them when they jump up and the background goes away and all kinds of stuff. One of the downsides with me when it comes to animated films is it takes away the cinematography portion. There is animated cinematography. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing on animators, but I always like to think about, how did they light that scene? How did they execute a camera movement?
Well, very easily. We drew the light coming in this direction.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I want the light to hit like this. And so it's easier versus like, okay, if you're in the space, how do you light it? How do you do this? How do you do that? A lot of times animated films, they can feel kind of flat, because in movies you have the focus.
Mm-hmm.
And the focus, you can have one character in focus close to the camera and another character further back that's out of focus. So you give this like depth to it, and then the focus can rack back and forth if it needs to, or just whatever they want to do. Whereas a lot of animated movie, it's just everything's in focus, everything's sharp. Sometimes it feels pretty flat. So it's like it's some kind of pros and cons when you deal with the animated medium.
Now, with this particular one, I agree with that. There's no real depth of field because it's 2D animation, which I thought was unique, because you're similar in style to like projects that are cell animated. That 2 dimensions does, I would say, kind of breaks a little bit, because you don't get that depth of field. You don't really get a good range of things. Everything's happening right there in the foreground. And there are other movies that are different. So the other like animated horror films, the Resident Evil horror animated films like Death Island and the Dead Space Aftermath animated film. And of course, there's also Spine of Night and The Wolf House, which all approach it from a different perspective. The Resident Evil films are all really extremely high polished, very, very very well done 3D film. So you get that depth of field. So you get things that are out of focus. So they really focus on where the camera is. So things in the background, out of focus, things in the foreground, and then they'll move between that. But then you have movies like The Wolf House, which have a very rudimentary style, which lends itself, I think, to the narrative as well, to kind of create the environment. Very similar to your lighting. like how you light a particular thing or how you capture the sound or what the grain quality is like on the film itself, which all lends itself to the storytelling. And I think that the 2D animation was intriguing because it doesn't I think for me what it does ultimately is that 2D style we're used to seeing in basic cartoons. So seeing that animation style, we're already kind of anchored to what we're kind of expecting, which is in essence like Saturday morning cartoons, because that's 2-dimensional animation style. And so much of it is positive that it creates this dichotomy, whereas like I'm seeing it and it's this medium, but it is this extraordinarily graphic, which I think creates a sense of unease that just from viewing it, not because of what's being told, just because of the visual medium. And I liked how that unease plays itself into the entire project, which I thought could only be done with 2D animation, which I thought was really brilliant. And speaking of which, this is also another crowdfunded film that was crowdfunded on Indiegogo and took 5 years to complete. Another one of those cons of, crowdfunding that, if you don't get everything you need up front, with like a studio deal and like, here's your set budget and then you're ready to go. When you're crowdfunding, it's basically you're at the mercy of the crowd throwing you the dollars. But eventually 5 years later, originally this movie was called Malevolent. And 5 years later, they're finally able to get it done. And then they finished post-production in 2018 for a 2019 release. So it took forever for it to happen.
And well, with animated movies, there's so much that goes into it because of the animation, because of drawing and rendering, and all this other kind of stuff. One thing that has fascinated me about animated films and TV shows is how they choose the animated style. Because you're right, you can go for maybe like a realistic, like say the Final Fantasy movies.
Oh yeah,
or some of the Resident Evil movies, or you can go like this 2D animation or something that's real stylistic. And I've just always wondered, because in like real filmmaking, the house looks like whatever the house is. People look like people. So it's just what you got. But it's like, how do I draw this person? How do I want it to be zany? Do I want to be wacky? There's so many different styles. And I'm always curious how animation teams come up with that. I'm just genuinely curious. Yeah.
It was it's a nice little experiment, and I enjoyed it. And of course, solid voice acting. With things like this, I think come down to the voice acting, really, because of the with just a voice, as I learned, if the actors are checked out because this is just voice acting, I can just I can just say the lines and put a little gravitas in there, and then I'm done. But that comes out when all you have to hear is the voice, and everything else is being drawn like that. Then an actor who's phoning it in can really mess it up. So, voice acting wise, in order to sell that thing, they've really got to put their bodies into that voice in order to convey. Because normally what you would convey with micro expressions or with your hands or with your body language, none of that plays. So you've got to convey all of that in your vocal performance. So all of that depth, all of that nuance that normally your eyes or your mouth or your posture, all of that, it's all got to go in there in order to convey this, which is why it's both really difficult, but also the most freeing, because once you're in that little booth with the microphone, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Just say the line and make it right. And it's like, and you've got like a number of takes you can do it, which I think is just the absolute fun. So you could tell that everybody in this, I think, was having a blast and such a fun little project. And I don't think enough people saw it, once again, because it was crowdfunded. But I'm glad we got to talk about it tonight because it's unique. The ideas that are out there, and it's a shame that it requires crowdfunding to get unique exploratory ideas out there in a way to tell a story. Because just like if you think of Mad God and how long Mad God stop motion with a little bit of live action, but predominantly stop motion, how long that movie took to fucking get made. And it's because commercially, it just doesn't really have the appeal, which is a fucking shame because that movie was amazing.
And I tell people all the time when they say Hollywood is out of ideas. There's nothing original anymore. It's like, no, Hollywood will never run out of ideas. No, I'm talking about original ideas. It's just right now what is selling: remakes, reboots, book adaptations, biopics, and superhero movies. That's what's selling, and Hollywood are business people. When it comes to original films, you have to look at the smaller budget. You're not going to get $100 million original film anymore. Days like The Matrix, Independence Day, they can't be made today. They would never be made today.
Welcome to Earth.
Yeah, and it's a shame because those are fantastic movies. But if you look in the $1 million range, the $2 million range, the crowdfunders, there are a lot of regional ideas out there where the risk is low. And yeah, you're going to have some budget constraints because $1 million for a film is nothing. But they know if you make $1 million film and it makes $5 million in the box office, then you made your money.
Plus some, plus some.
Yeah, you did your job versus $100 million film that has to make $400 million to turn a profit.
Yeah, you tell me that Hollywood wants to do remakes and reboots and shit, and yet we can't get fucking. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to fucking say it. It's like, if that's the business, and yet here we are, an established product, established IP with a remake that would be awesome to do, and we just.
I see, and I'm frustrated because we've talked to people, and I won't name any names, but we've talked to people who have made films that you have heard of that were not good. And they're like, oh, man, I just don't think this project's for me. And I'm like, you made this. You made this. That project was for you? So crap? That's what? Is our film too good for you?
You see, there needs to be a better metric because when somebody says, oh, this film's not for me, it's like, why? Why is it not for you? Give me a fucking justification. Don't just be like, no. Likely because it's not theirs is the whole point. Like, it's because it wasn't their idea. But who gives a fuck, man? That's what's so freaking aggravating about it.
Yeah, I'm just like, listen, you sign a check, you hand it to us, and then you go on vacation, and you come back with a movie, and we're going to give you a bigger check in return.
Seems like
That's it.
You would think it would be that fucking simple. That would be that simple. Oh man, but woof, it's rough, But now I'm sitting here, I'm fucking digressing off the whole thing, the idea of like remakes and shit. But we need more exploratory ideas when it comes to, especially the horror genre. Take it in different ways, be avant-garde, push it in a different direction. Remakes are one thing, yeah, but if you're gonna remake it, do it awesome, like fucking Maniac. Like take the gruesome shit from the 80s and turn it into a sleek, nasty, fucking mean as hell, mean-spirited slasher film.
Yeah, the thing is I'm not against remakes and reboots. Obviously, I'm not. It's just as long as you do it right and you make it your own, you have to justify the reason for your remake. If it's a shot for shot, who cares? We've already seen the original.
That's fantastic. Sorry.
Yeah. Psycho. Or if it's if it's just a check in the box, like for example, the Poltergeist remake. Oh, it's just a check in the box. But there are a lot of great remakes out there, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Thing. The list just goes on. It's like you can take that idea, put some love into it, and you can show that to a newer generation. Because to be honest, it's hard for like young people. It's hard to get them to watch older films. That's true. It's such a shame. For example, it's hard to get people to watch like the Thing. Oh, well, that's an old movie. I don't know if I want to watch something from the 80s. Maybe something.
And then I sit them down and I Ludovico treatment their motherfucking asses so they can watch that shit. Be like, yeah.
and then they watch it and they're like, why didn't I watch it sooner? And I'm like, you got to give old movies a chance. That's why.
Absolutely fucking do. Absolutely. Oh, Zero says also, I didn't like Oppenheimer. Full disclosure. Wow. Impressive.
I mean, you can be wrong. That's fine.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that it takes crowdfunding, and unfortunately, when you crowdfund a film, you got to deal with the limitations of that. And The Selling and To Your Last Death both had to deal with the cons of that. It's such a dicey market trying to crowdfund a feature because number one, they're lucky that they actually got it funded, and number two, you think about how long it took them to make these damn things because that's just the risk that you take. And then if you make no money, it's just kind of like it's such a fucking gamble. But it's a shame. But that's the number one way we're able to get new and interesting takes on IPs, or to get new original ideas. Like literally the last 4 Friday the 13th themed films with the Jason Voorhees in it have all been crowdfunded, and the only reason they're successful is because it's a fucking Jason movie. And like one of them managed to snag Lar Park Lincoln for their short. They managed to get a big actor in there because they got the money to pay him, and then they crowdfund the rest of it. So they crowdfunded based on the fact that they have a returning icon. So, but you can't always bank on that. You're going to get lucky to do that. So it's just
at the very least, I'm happy that it's an option. Yeah, it has its limitations, but it is cheaper now than it has ever been to make a film. You actually have websites dedicated that I'm not saying you're going to meet your goal, but the fact it's an option because there was no crowdfunding in the 70s, in the 60s.
Right.
There wasn't. People were taking mortgages out of their house. People were going to, was it Ed Wood who went to a church to fund a film? That was, you're going, there's somebody who made a big film in the 80s. They went door to door in like Beverly Hills begging for money.
Wow. Oh, Lloyd Kaufman has like in his book says he has a stable of dentists because for some reason dentists always have disposable income. And it was like, so he's a stable of dentists that he goes and he hits up for funding for his pictures. It's like, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's about.
I mean, the thing is if it works, it works. At least you're able to make your film and you're able to get the idea out there. And good filmmakers are able to work within those constraints. And instead of seeing it as this is a problem we have to work around, they see it as an opportunity. You know what? At least we get to make a movie.
Absolutely. And so that comes down to the question that I wanted to ask the audience. And I'm actually going to change it from the script because I had another question, but this one is actually a lot better. And maybe we'll get some solid recommendations. But given that the first 2 films we talked about tonight were crowdfunded films, and specifically To Your Last Death was crowdfunded on Indiegogo, and The Selling was on Kickstarter. So I'm curious, of all the films that have come out that have managed to actually get crowdfunded, what is your favorite film that was crowdfunded in order to actually get out? I'm very curious. What's your favorite crowdfunded horror film, as a matter of fact? Let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com what your favorite crowdfunded horror film is, or maybe it's a movie that is yet to come out and is currently being crowdfunded. Kind of like, you remember fucking, there was those 2 slasher films, The Dude with the Mask, and we said it took it, oh, god damn it, what the fuck was the name? Son of a...
Got to be more specific than a killer in a mask.
I know. So, fucking hell. And there was a sequel and it came out and they kicked the shit out of the killer in the end. We talked about it here on the show. What the fucking hell was that name? Oh, I can't... Oh, goddamn. Anyway, there were 2 films that came out. Obviously, the film and its sequel about this killer who wears a mask and was killing people around this farmhouse. The sequel had like 2 crazy people join him like this. Anyway, that director is doing a prequel film to his to complete his trilogy, and that he is currently crowdfunding. I cannot remember the name of the damn movie. It's right on the tip of my tongue. As a matter of fact, if I look,
it'll come back to you.
Yeah, if I were to actually like look, son of a bitch, takes place on Halloween. There was like a musical number. There was like a band scene in it. We fucking talked about it. Why can't I remember this fucking movie?
We talked about over 750 movies.
Why can't I remember this goddamn movie? Son of a bitch. Okay, I'm sorry. I know we're like in a show, but this is going to bug the absolute living shit out of me. I need 1 second.
So while you look that up, I'm going to get some reactions from the audience. So we talked about your favorite crowdfunding films. We got
The Wicked One.
Oh, the Wicked One.
The Wicked One and The Wicked Ones, which is the sequel to The Wicked One. And now he is doing a prequel called, I think, like The Boy like Next Door, or The Boy, something like this. But anyway, he's crowdfunding his prequel currently. So
yeah, so we got The Wicked Ones. Looking at a couple of answers, it looks like we have The Tunnel. And a big one was Babadook crowdfunded? If
I don't know
Babadook is several people in the chat have put Babadook. If Babadook was a crowdfunded film, then that is the apex of crowdfunding.
I'm kind of curious. I wasn't. Let me see here. Filming. The origin. I'm not seeing that it was crowdfunded.
Or maybe it's partially crowdfunded.
I'm not seeing anything in its production, in its development, saying that it was crowdfunded.
So,
wait. Yes, it was. To attain the funds for the sets, Kent and Causeway Films producer Christina Satan launched a Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign in June of 2012 with a target of $30,000. Their funding goal was reached on September 27th through pledges from 259 backers, raising $30,071. Kent said that the crowdfunding closed a crucial gap in which to cover design and special effects expenses to build a special visual world. So yes, it was partially crowdfunded.
Partially crowdfunded. Well, that is the apex right there. Definitely one of the best crowdfunded movies. We have another one. I think The Collector. I want to say The Collector was a crowdfunded movie, or maybe partially crowdfunded.
We're talking about the one that was originally a prequel to Saw.
Yeah.
Was that a crowdfunded film?
I was partially crowdfunded.
Final scene. Shot in Shreveport over a course of over 19 days. Shot on 16 millimeter, which is why it has the unique look to it. It was the real. Okay, so when Marcus Dunstan announced to his producer team he wanted to direct, he set off to make a sizzle reel, a prolonged trailer of the proposed film. He reunited with many of his friends from Feast and employed John Gulager as a cinematographer and used actors Clu Gulager to play Roy and Tom Gulager as Arkin. It was this reel that was used to pitch the film to Dimension, who put up the money to produce the film. So no, that one was funded by Dimension.
Or maybe they used crowdfunding to fund Pitch Sting.
In the end, Mickey Little bought the movie from Dimension. Liddell organized reshoots, changed the title from The Midnight Man to The Collector.
Collector.
Yeah.
So possibly at least involved in The Collector, but definitely Babadook. Is awesome. I'll tell you the hosts with Adam Leader and Richard Oakes, that was 100% crowdfunding, and it did not look like a crowdfunding movie.
Right. Strange Like 790 says Attack the Block was funded by the lottery. Does that count? I actually didn't know that because I really like Attack the Block.
Yeah, Attack the Block is a good movie.
And it gave us John Boyega. It put John Boyega on the map. But let me see. How was that? Cast, production, Big Talk Pictures, who did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim, which is probably why Nick Frost is in it. Filming, it doesn't say anything about that. But maybe that's the way he won the lottery, funded a film. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, win a lottery, make a movie. That's awesome.
That sounds good to me. I like that. Wish that could happen to me. All right. But definitely, yes, crowdfunding, dude. It's amazing. So definitely let us know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com what your favorite crowdfunded horror film was. Absolutely. All right, dude. What do we have next? This is the dip before the rise at the end.
Next, we have...
Don't complain. We've watched worse. We've watched so much
that
worse.
Doesn't mean anything. Just because you see worse doesn't make this good.
It's lost all meaning. It has lost all meaning.
It is. I was watching grass grow. We have The Cave, which was released August 26, 2005. Roll it.
Queuing up the terror tube.
When 7 men discovered the entrance to the world's largest cave system.
Oh, God. What is that?
They were never seen again.
That would be a giant cricket.
Now, a team of expert cave explorers
I hate ladders.
She's such a show-off.
has been assembled to find out why.
There's an enormous cavern about 300 feet down, just below the
Wait,
cave
that's not
entrance,
why they went there.
which then leads to this underwater passageway. See you in 12 days, boys.
Already the trailer's misleading.
Serious piece of work. We have a few realities to face, people. First, we're a mile under the surface. Second, we're not going out the way we came.
Right now, primary concern is getting out of here alive.
The only way out is through.
So, what is it?
This is definitely a predator.
There's something in there that wasn't there before.
How big was it?
It's big.
What the hell was that?
As long as we stay together as a group, we can hold them back.
There's something in the water!
Everybody in a circle! If you ever want to see the sun again, you should follow me now.
You know it's wild because Cole Hauser had exactly the same shot in Pitch Black. Like when he busts the flare and he's like, psh, he's like almost exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, unfortunately, there were two cave movies that came around this time period, and we're talking about the worst of the two.
So we have The Cave, directed by Bruce Hunt, starring Cole Hauser, Mars Chestnut, Eddie Carbrian.
Cibrian.
Yeah, I was not going to get that. You have Rick Ravenello, Marcel Lures, Lenny Headley, Piper Parabo, and Daniel Day Kim.
Okay, there you got got that
there we
one.
go.
Excellently done.
I can still do the Korean names. And I mean, basically, what you end up is you have a group of people who are researching a new ecosystem because of a couple of events happen, and they end up trapped, and they're fighting to survive to get their way back to the surface. That's it. That's
yeah, it's pretty much it. It's pretty much it. Yes. And Zero to your name pronounced Zero's like, dude. It's like, dude. But nonetheless. So this was the big huge thing. Obviously, you know, people going into cave, people encounter monsters. The only way out is through, and then you have action. This is a pretty simple fucking formula that should technically write itself. Where it's like, this is a pretty, I was like, there you go. Monsters in cave, people meet monsters, people fight monsters, people escape. And it's pretty formulaic. I ask you, how can a fucking monster movie that's so simple be so fucking boring? Because that was the problem with this movie. It wasn't that it was like technically bad. It's actually technically quite fucking good, considering how they would, think about all those underwater shots. Think about the logistics of this movie in order to get this stuff done. You know,
the film is shot well.
It's shot extremely well.
Yeah,
and
all the technical stuff is perfectly fine in the film. The issue when you come into films like this is you have to do one or two things. You have to either focus hard on characterization, which is what The Descent does. You focus more on the girls, and then the monsters, which you don't even see till halfway through the movie, end up throwing a wrench into their plans. Or you have to focus on the action. So it has to be characterization or action, where it's like you think of Peter Jackson's King Kong. You don't really care about any of the characters, but we're just going to load you up with just action. And it's just fun. That's it. It's just a pure fun movie, and it fails on both.
Okay, so the biggest thing, so sarcasm brings up, because they never show us a monster. Well, they do at a point. They absolutely do. And there's a problem. And the biggest issue is with this. And what I saw is essentially is what they plan to do going into the films. You got all of this fantastic set. You got a fantastic cave set design. Like their primary set where they were setting up base camp looks fantastic. You got an amazing set. You have all these cool environments to play in, especially that final set. You go where there's like fucking like fire everywhere and stalactites, stalagmites. I mean, there's all kinds of really awesome shit going on in here. Technically, the film is very, very sound. It's also an extremely difficult shoot, given how many underwater shots are done, given the lighting and how dark it has to be in order to convey the environment. Because you can't. It's supposed to be a deep, dark, dank cave. You can't just like blow everything up with light all the time. So and the claustrophobic effects, being stuck in small spaces. You know, the fact that you can't go out. You're forced to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And of course, the big like wall scaling scene. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on here. And it's also technically interesting because you got scuba diving, you got rappelling, you got rock climbing, you got base jumping and shit. This is all really good stuff. And you've got a talented group of actors. I will say Cole Hauser, the fucking legend, because right now he's kicking ass over on Yellowstone. Loved him in Pitch Black. Loved him in pretty much everything he's ever done. He was even solid in this one because he's just got to be like fearless leader. I am the leader. That's pretty much what it is. The only one who wasn't on point was Piper Perabo, who I had a chance a long, long time ago. I worked on like one of her first movies, and it took her a while, in my opinion, to like get the reins on acting because she was a pretty face for a long time, but to really start being able to convey character because I thought she was really bad in this. I feel bad throwing her under the bus as the only one because now she's on Yellowstone too, and she's good. She's like really good. And I've seen stuff that she's done recently. Like she was good. I think she learned on Covert Affairs. That's where she got good.
Yeah. Like she's always, I have not seen Yellowstone yet, but I remember when she first came out and her acting did not impress me by any means. I like not even close. And even in this film, it's kind of like, this came out about the time she's an up and coming name.
Right. Yes, Coyote Ugly. And see, that's the shame is like she got put out on Coyote. She got put out on Coyote Ugly because I was in a movie before. I worked on a film with her, not directly with her, but I worked on one of her films before Coyote Ugly ever hit. And so she did Coyote Ugly, but you put her up against like, Maria Bello and the other established actors all around her, and they just made her not look great. And just the way she conveyed stuff, but she's gotten much, much better. Unfortunately, this was before she got better. So she kind of drags the movie in some respects, what I thought was kind of obnoxious, especially when you have Cole Hauser and you got Morris Chestnut, and you've got Lena Headey in there, and, Daniel Day Kim and fucking Eddie Cibrian, all these very talented performers all around her, which is just a damn shame. Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, same thing. So, but despite all that, you have competent actors, I would say a mediocre, a decent script, not great, doesn't have to be. It's supposed to be about the monster. But that's what it is. It's a monster movie. But that's where the movie fucking drops the ball. Because the person who developed the people that designed the monster for this thing, I think were given way too much free reign and came up with this thing that was so abominably large and abominably complex in its design that when trying to shoot a movie where your characters are the focus and you're supposed to have a monster there, you can't really show anything in some grand detail. In fact, I think the monster was so big and it was so clunky and it was so like complex looking that if they tried to show it in full light, it would have looked fucking terrible. Just because they did so fucking much. The same kind of problem existed on The Relic, which we talked about before. And The Relic was an amazing film. Stan Winston monster, a good, fun monster romp, excellent characterization, which, fucking Tom Sizemore and shit. But the thing about The Relic was you had Stan Winston behind it. Stan Winston knows how to make a monster, and the monster was enormous. This giant, four-legged, hairy, clawed, tusked monstrosity. That's the issue there. It's like, but the thing is, you need a really smart designer in order to know how to frame that thing, in order to make it look good so you don't have to show the whole monster so people can still get an idea of how scary it is. Unfortunately, none of that worked in the cave. It's almost like they made a monster and then they were like, we didn't have a movie to put the monster in. So it's like, oh shit. Well, you got a monster here that's essentially all black or dark gray or black, that flies. And it's got like this skull thing, almost pitch black style, and then big ass teeth. But we can't show any except for one scene when it's the CG version of it, when it like flies and lands on Piper and then lands on Charlie when she's on the wall. That's all you see. And then otherwise it's just glimpses of the fucking thing. And then of course at the end when it's all CG and it's all like bathed in the same light because it's the flare light of the final cave. It's just fucking annoying. And I just kept saying, it's like these things would look amazing if they just toned them down a little bit. Very similar to The Relic. The Relic was based on the book. It was based on a book, and the monster in that was actually humanoid. Very, very similar to Killer Croc. Just a big, bulky, lizard-like humanoid. Just like Creatures of the Black Lagoon and shit. That was that monster, but they decided to ramp it up and make it something really grotesque and horrible for the film. It's almost like they tried to do that with this one, but they didn't have a mind like Stan Winston behind it, so it was terribly designed and did not fit with what they were trying to do, especially with their lighting concerns and trying to this is a cave. And then it's like, it just drags it down. So when there's no monsters, no discernible monsters in a monster movie, mediocre acting, mediocre script, bare bones script, and everybody just playing around on the set that looks amazing. Well, what drives the story? Other than, we need to get out. There was nothing there.
Of course.
And they're not Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall knows how to write fucking groups because he wrote Dog Soldiers and he wrote The Descent, which is the camaraderie, Well,
and the script is where it falls apart, because if you look at, for example, what's the ultimate creature feature, Jaws? The shark itself is not in the movie very much, but you have a very compelling script, you have compelling acting, and you have the scene where the three of them are just sitting on a boat talking, and that conversation's compelling.
Yeah, because that's just sharing a story. Their bonding moment. That was an amazing. These guys, the three men from disparate positions, all brought together under this unique situation, and they find a way to they find a cohesion there. They're able to cohesive, or I don't know what's the word of that, but they're able to bond under these unique circumstances. The same thing goes with Dog Soldiers. The soldiers are out there, they're members of a unit, but that's what really they would see, okay, they're members of the same unit, they kind of know each other, but it's not until they get into the house and they're under siege from the werewolves, and then things get quiet, the werewolves back off, then we have a time to explore depth, and we understand, wow, the backstories on these guys are so fucking complex, and they all know it. They all know each other. So they're able, so each one of them has a shorthand with the other, and they have references, and it's organic and it's beautiful. And the same thing with The Descent, the moments in between the monsters where these girls, they know each other. They're smart, they're capable, they're strong, they have their tactics when they get in these, tight situations, and they know what they're doing. And then they just deal with the monsters when the monsters show up. So that was what was amazing. Here in the film, there's like fake generated drama. Oh, the brother's like, oh man, he won't let me be lead because he can't count on me. Oh, but I'm his brother. We got fake generated drama. We got fake generated loyalty. It's just like, oh no, man, we got to follow him because he's the leader. That's not writing.
No, that's not. It's basically, it's filler. So if you can't focus on your characters because the characters aren't developed enough, you have to focus on the monster. And that's fine. They're great, just monster movies that have little to no characterization. Look at Godzilla. Name a human in the Godzilla universe.
Ken Watanabe. Wait,
that was the actor.
That was the actor.
But you have to. But you.
The chick from Stranger Things. That's all I know. That's all I know. It was a giant moth.
But what do you see in a Godzilla movie? You see Godzilla. You see all of Godzilla.
Not in the first one. In the first one, Gareth Edwards really didn't want to show the thing.
Yeah. But But you have to be able to practically work whatever creature you have. If you're going to focus on the creature, then the creature has to be well designed. If you want to look at how you show a giant creature, look at Aliens, the Alien Queen. That is a textbook on how you show a giant monster.
Yes.
The time they put to build that, the time of the animatronics, there's even a lot of puppetry behind it.
It took a team of people to operate it, and it was so well designed. You could show things like the top half of it as a whole, moving and the tail moving, doing different things.
So you have to really invest your time into building your creature for that, so that it's cool, and you don't have to just rely on CG, because once you get the end and they're like all running on the ceiling and everything, you can tell it's CG. You don't even care at that point.
Liam Wakefield, bro, what kind of self-respecting werewolf has silver cutlery? One that's trying to pass off not being a werewolf, I would assume. Like, why aren't you using the fork? Oh, I know, I don't really use that. I only use that silverware for special occasions because I can't touch it. But yeah, that ultimately the cave, it could have been something, and obviously Neil Marshall showed that you can do a concept like this correctly about people going into a cave and meeting and encountering monsters, which would have been good. I mean, it's kind of like the same story. The difference is like in The Descent, they were offshoot human beings. They were just like an offshoot evolution of humans. They kind of like evolved into like these bat-like creatures, no wings, but like blind, echolocation, shit like that. And then in this one, it was kind of the same thing, only it was a parasite that mutated them into these monsters. And then, oh, fuck me running. And I told you about this. The one thing that I fucking hate, it was the goddamn last nail in the coffin on this movie. I can't stand it. Let me know in the live chat if you agree with me on this. I can't stand crane shots of like endings where all of a sudden like somebody's running away and they're like, no, come back. And then they like disappear into a crowd and like the crane goes up and it's like, oh, where did they go? They're missing. They're right there. Like, it's so fucking bad because the crane, like, he's like, because she escapes because she's infected with the parasite. She's going to go out and like spread it around because the parasite wanted to get out the whole time. Oh my God. And Lena Headey runs off into the crowd and he's like, no. And he, Cimarron's going out, like, no, come back. And then he loses her. And then there's a crane shot of him like looking around, like, where'd she go? Guess what, dude? She's right fucking behind you because you won't do a full 180. And she's literally right there. You're the tallest person in the scene. Why? Because we have to be able to see you amongst the crowd, and yet you can't see her walking away in her brown jacket. She's right there. I hate that crap. It's just so not well. I don't even know why they do that. It's the worst.
I like to think of this movie, if you compare this movie to The Cave and The Descent, because The Descent is a British film.
Right.
This is like the American version. Because it's Americanized. Hands down there. Oh, man, we just have this action and we'll have this character and we just got this beats, explosions, and ends, and all this other kind of stuff. We got to do this big grandiose thing instead of like, hey, let's just have a couple of good characters and let's put them in an interesting situation.
Fucking crazy that. Well, the Descent came out just a couple of weeks before this one did. Because The Descent came out August 4th, if I remember, like August 4th or early August. This one came out late August. So,
see, I'm wondering if the director of The Cave was like, oh, there's another Cave movie. Let me go check this out. And you get in the theater, he's like, fuck. Well, my movie's coming out in 6 weeks.
Why didn't we do that?
Ready to take the L on that one.
Why didn't we do that? That's good.
Call the studio. I may have made a mistake.
Of course, The Cave was produced by Screen Gems, and Screen Gems and Sony have their own problems. I mean, a history of problems there because they stick to these basic formulas that they think, like the America, like are going to work in America. And fucking The Descent was done by Lionsgate and Pathé, and Pathé has a fantastic record of putting out of developing films that are strong and push boundaries and really challenge the audience, which is why, and Pathé is just that's what their bread and butter is challenging productions that are really entertaining. And of course, Lionsgate will jump on anything as like, oh, gory, fuck yes, we're there, because Lionsgate will jump on anything that has a splatter effect because it's the house that Saw built.
Yeah, it's. I want to ask the audience, and because we've been comparing The Cave and The Descent, I'm going to go a little off script because we're already getting a couple examples in the chat. I want to know, what are some films that are super close in what they are, but one is really good and one is really bad? So we talked about The Cave and The Descent. You have Zero, who just brought up The Prestige and The Illusionist.
The Illusionist.
Because The Prestige is way better than Illusionist.
Well, it's because The Prestige is fucking Christopher Nolan.
That was Christopher Nolan at like 1/10 his power. You got Sarah Littlewolf talked about Armageddon and Deep Impact, 2 asteroid movies. So what are 2 movies that are super, super similar, but one is way better than the other one?
This was going to get you on this one. Armageddon and Deep Impact, I like them both, but Armageddon goes to like the emotional kind of like, oh, like the guy in me. Deep Impact played to my like sense of intelligence, because Deep Impact was a fairly smart film. Armageddon was just fucking dumb.
Armageddon is like Jerry Bruckheimer. It's like,
yeah, it's total Bruckheimer. It absolutely is. But I'm just gonna like, when you look at it, when you think about it, it's just a dumb movie. It's just so dumb, but it gets you. It gets you like, welcome to Earth. It's like that,
yeah.
you know? It's like you punched an alien, Will. Come on, it's like, welcome to Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the action and everything
America.
works out. And when the one drill blows up, the other drill happens to show up in like the right time and all that. I mean,
like the whole audience, the whole theater cheers when Ben Affleck shows up on the screen, which never happens in any other movie.
And then you get the one song that has like who was it by the Aerosmith, that like the anthem for Armageddon.
Right.
So you
and then in Deep Impact we've got Morgan Freeman, being Morgan Freeman, just like cool as shit. He's like, oh, there's an asteroid heading towards us. He's like, fuck it, man, we're gonna.
I'm the president. Let's go do your thing. And then Tia Leone, and that's the that was. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of people now. But you're
There's
right,
a lot of people in that one, yeah.
Yeah, but Deep Impact is definitely a smarter, a little bit more realistic film. I think it's easier to train astronauts how to drill than it is drillers to be astronauts. But
So Little Wolf would ask, do Asylum products count? So the mockbusters that Asylum puts out, I would think that they probably would, because they come out around the same time.
Yeah.
And just to clarify,
absolutely.
Joshua Lee says a rec and VHS. Different things, because VHS is an anthology series, whereas Rec was a remake. Whereas Rec was the original Spanish horror film that was, and the American remake of that was Quarantine. So,
see, you could do something like Rec and Quarantine.
Rec and Quarantine, yeah.
Yeah, Rec and Quarantine, or let's say VHS and like the ABCs of Death or something like that.
Somebody said it. Oh, hey, where did it go? Where did it go? Zero says, deep burn, poor Ben Affleck. Yes, poor Ben Affleck. Absolutely. Angel Rivera said, jail. You forgot that was before we found out that Ben Affleck is a movie killer. He technically isn't. He's really good. He's very talented. I liked Argo. I liked The Town. I liked Good Will Hunting. I like Ben Affleck. Okay, just unfortunately, the course of his career. So
he's hit or miss. When he hits, it's big. We talk about things like Gone Girl.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, like he was phenomenal in that. And he does great in like supporting roles. I think probably Gone Girl and The Town are probably his 2 best movies. All right,
I like The Town. The Town and Argo are like amazing. Argo's fucking amazing. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. But that's funny. The Prestige and the fucking Allude. That was when it was so obvious. It was like really, really. Close. Yeah, Christopher Nolan. You got fucking huge Jackman. You've got Christian Bale.
Well, you have to remember Christopher Nolan. This was before he was a big name. Because I think he did.
That's true. Because he did Memento. He had Memento.
He did Memento, and he did Insomnia with Robin Williams.
Right. Then you had then you have that. Then you've got like I said, you got huge Jackman, and then you've got fucking huge Jackman and Christian Bale and My Cocaine, and then you have The Illusionist, which is like Neil Berger with Edward Norton, Jessica Biel, and unfortunately Paul Giamatti, because Paul Giamatti is fucking amazing. But I mean, just like, come on, guys, really? Could it be more obvious? It's like, seriously? I bet they made that movie because Edward Norton was pissed that Nolan didn't cast him.
That's probably what happened. And Nolan definitely won that one.
Oh yes. Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down.
Yep. Two exact same ones.
Channing Tatum or Jerry Butler? Jerry Butler. Day long.
Jerry Butler's an action star.
Jerry Butler's an action star. Thank you, 300. Thank you, Zack Snyder.
Yes. Oh, we get Train to Busan and The Last Train to New York.
Last Train to New York.
I mean, that's not even a competition. That's Train to Busan, like hands down.
Oh, now people are bringing up are bringing up Kevin Smith. So Chasing Amy is Kevin Smith's finest film. That is his greatest film. And I will die on that hill because it's the only one of his films that's gotten into the Criterion Collection. But that shouldn't be a metric. But absolutely, it's his best. Oh, Josh Lee brings up Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Oh, Dante Peak wins that battle.
Dante's Peak is definitely better. Yes.
Yeah, Volcano is just boring.
How is fucking Tommy Lee Jones boring? It's
everything else. It's like you have a volcano in LA, you have this lava and all this other kind of stuff, and it's like nothing happens. Nothing. At least Dante Peak has like where it explodes and you have it's just more action packed, and you get Pierce Brosnan.
You get more drama. You got Pierce Brosnan, you got fucking Linda Hamilton, you got fucking Sarah Connor in there, man.
Yeah, it's just
Sarah Connor versus the volcano. That should be a fucking movie. All right.
Really, I would watch that.
Definitely. All right. So definitely let us know. What was your question? What twin movies and which one is the better one?
Yeah, twin movies and which one is the better one. There's a bunch of twin movies out there.
Definitely. Let us know down there in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com. All right, we're closing in. We're almost going to run out of time, but we got one more to talk about. I don't think we're going to spend too much time on this one. There's not too much to say about it, but it was still a very enjoyable film. At least it was for me. Eugene, you might have hated it, but I see that look in your fucking eye. So, released August 26, 2016, we have House on Willow Street. Let's check out this trailer. Cue up the terror tube.
At night he comes in my dreams.
Creepy House of Lullabies. It's already. Eugene's not going to live in this house now.
Daddy's little princess. We all understand the risks involved. This is just what we have to do to get the money. I think we can all agree on one thing. The sooner we get this over with, the better. Mr. and Mrs. Hudson, here is your daughter. No one's answering. You guys need to go back to the house.
You should really let me go. Or you're all gonna die tonight.
This is life or death. There's something very wrong with that house on Willow Street. We want it back here.
Roll credits. No.
There's no running. There's no escaping. You must just accept it.
Yes, big fat ghosts in that one with glass sticking out of them. So that was the trailer for House on Willow Street, which is a South African supernatural horror film and directed by Alistair Orr and screenplay by Jonathan Jordan and Alistair Orr, starring Sharni Vinson of Your Next fame, Carolyn Burchell, Stephen Ward, Zeno Ventura, and Gustav Gerdner. The film follows a group of ne'er-do-wells. Actually, it's a group of kidnappers who aim to kidnap a young girl, played by Carolyn Burchell, and hold her hostage to get a big payout from her rich parents. But it turns out not all is what it seems, because what they've actually kidnapped is definitely not a young girl. But is that like a straight up fucking demon, like straight up demon? So, but yeah, okay, so Zero bring up the bad ending on that. We're gonna get to that, I promise you. So this is another one that I could say, well, okay, it almost falls into the trap that The Cave did. But what was strong about this one is that, one, I will say this about House on Willow Street. Technically, it is extremely well executed. The only down point, I would say, and it doesn't, I don't even think it detracts from the entirety of the film, was, and Sarcasm brings up, I hated the CGI tongue tickles. Yeah, like the bleh, like this. Okay, I agree.
The mouth docking? Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree that at times they didn't look great. You know, they just did. But otherwise, set design, lighting, sound, I thought everything, especially the way it was shot, especially in the different sequences, I thought were really, really well done. Technically, it's an extremely well shot film, from all the technical aspects. But while it doesn't fall into the same trap as The Cave does, with having a monster that you really can't see in it like that, I think the only thing that really holds back predominantly was the script, was the dialogue in and of itself, because there is no, in it, this team of bad guys who supposedly have a history together, the dialogue did not give them that kind of like group mentality. It always felt like there was constantly every man for himself. Like we're on the verge of like just, every man for themselves, which is bad, especially when you're trying to go into a plan like this. And the writing overall literally wrote them into they painted themselves into a corner, which is why, and Zero brought it up, bad ending, which is why, because the way it ended the way it did, it was just kind of like drops off. That's it. It was like, well, there really is no denouement on this one. It's kind of like, because they couldn't end it any other way because of the corner they painted themselves into as far as like time and budget constraints. So that's what I thought kind of detracted from it, which is a shame, because the setup, the design, the possessed chick, all really fucking good. I just wish, they tied up some of those plot lines.
So with this film, first of all, it shows you the quality of film we watch. We always have to start off with, this film was technically shot well. The sound
very,
works.
very funny, Zero. So I can't wait to hear Eugene destroy all that jail is building right now. He likely will. Yeah, he likely will.
So I'm just starting that off just to begin with. It's like, that tells you the quality of films that we've watched. First of all, when it comes with possession and demon films, I'm just tired of them.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I just don't care anymore. There's so many other genres that you can dive into. I just don't care. And normally in films, I like the bad people meet worse. Like was it No One Lives or No One Survives, where he hides inside the body and then he like fucks up all those people. Man, I love that. So I'm like, oh, we got some bad guys. They're gonna run into demon. Oh man, it's gonna fuck them up. And then I'm watching. I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, okay. These are supposed to be like bad. These are supposed to be like hardened criminals, and they're supposed to be badasses, and they're supposed to be like they've known each other for a long period of time. And I'm like, have these guys like met before? Is this a joke? Like they picked them up yesterday for this? And then at the very least, I'm like, okay, well maybe like some like good action and some practical effects. The lighting in the film's okay. It's kind of it's hard to see it. A couple of things. I think it relies on shaky cam a lot. And then when it comes to the practical effects, I want to see good practical effects. That's what I'm watching in a movie like this. If you're gonna get some nasty kills, because films like this have to have nasty kills, then let's go through it. I don't want to watch mouth docking multiple times.
Multiple times.
That's the thing.
Oh no, and don't forget the end. Don't forget the end where it's like just like Resident Evil style. Wah, they're all over the place, and she's like fighting them the fuck off.
Credit. And ultimately, the ultimate thing about this film is this: it's forgettable.
It adds nothing to the genre at all whatsoever. I guarantee you a month from this now, we won't even mention on the podcast anymore. Or it'll be you remember that One Tongue film where like they like lick each other a lot and suck each other's faces? That film. But I guarantee you won't even remember this film anymore.
Probably not. I think it's if you want to, I think Johnny would probably call this one a popcorn film. It's one that you can watch one time and you kind of be like, oh, wow, this is some wild shit in it. But otherwise, not much taken there. When you start deep diving one like this, it quickly falls apart. It kind of falls in that same camp as Us. Whereas, like, visually for me, I don't know if it was the same for you, but visually for me, like Us was kind of like just like, wow, shocking. It was like, whoa, this movie's fucking amazing. Holy shit. Like the people, the doppelgangers.
I never thought that during this movie.
And I was like, that's amazing. And then after the movie was over, I thought about it for like 3 seconds. I was like, wait a minute. That movie, what? And it just starts falling apart. It's like butterfly wings. The minute you touch them, they never get off the ground again. See if you can tell me what movie that was from. Huh? What am I quoting? Anyway, but yeah, I would agree with you on that. It's a kind of a one and done, just so I know how you feel about possession horror films. I thought this would have been an okay one. It's not like it's fucking, fat Russell Crowe with a funny accent. All right?
That movie humbled him back to Gladiator.
Although I will say it was entertaining to see Russell Crowe tell a bunch of priests to essentially go fuck themselves, which I thought was brilliant. It was like, that was just a good scene because it's like Russell Crowe's like, so I'm gonna tell these priests to go fuck themselves. Like, all right, great. And then he just in that ridiculous like fucking Italian accent he's got going on. I thought that was just fantastic. But yeah, unfortunately, Case Group says an alligator with an oar. Yes, fucking frogs, man. Although he just reminded me, we have another horror film. We have another Sam Elliott horror film coming up in season 5.
Ooh.
It's called The Legacy.
Looking forward. Love me some Sam Elliott. Does he keep his shirt on?
Sam Elliott. I don't know, but he has no mustache.
Oh, it's weird. It's weird. I don't like it.
I don't like it. But yeah, this was the wild thing. It was the writing ultimately that kind of dropped this one. There were some plot threads that were just left open, and ultimately the idea was how I love the idea of bad guys meeting worse guys. I love that. Motherfuckers who think they're hard meeting really, really terrible shit, like really, really horrible things. Like, I'm a badass. It's like, no, the thing that you're about to run into is the badass. And I love that concept. It's just a wonderful concept that I think anybody can get there, can hitch their tractor to. But ultimately, the writing drops the ball on this one. There's a lot of plot threads that are never explored. There's a lot of things that people just kind of like, the characters just kind of like, well, that pisses me off, but on to the story. There's like, really? It's like you had legitimate issues here that could have created intriguing character dynamics, but they're never explored in favor of all the, the barbed tongue.
Yeah, it's never explored. Yeah. And then before we move on to the part that everybody's been waiting for, can we talk about how bad the fire effects?
Yeah. So what is it? Who is it who said it? Sarcasm said, any film that shows an explosion that obviously requires 12 gallons of gasoline and only shows 1 gallon on screen arbitrarily sucks. I know they not arbitrarily, just objectively sucks.
It was so terrible when like they're like sitting there, they're like burning in the end. I was like, oh man, that's just bad. And then you talk about the ending where you have the van upside down. That's obviously fake fire. Like none. I mean, I can understand maybe you don't have money for a fire stunt because fire stunts are very expensive. I understand that. But you have a van upside down sitting there and you have to fake that fire too? I'm done. I'm done.
Hey, Michelle with 1L. Good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Says hello, everyone. Thanks so much for coming in tonight. So Little says there's always a bigger fish. I love that story that there's always a bigger fish. Or when the bad guys underestimate what's going on because of whatever. I love seeing when the tables get turned. I love seeing those moments when the tables turn. And unfortunately, this film doesn't capitalize on that. Oh, so it was like the cabin exploding in Friday 7. Fuck no, that was a gas main. That was a gas main that exploded. That's why that thing went up like that. Ha! I caught you. You tried to denigrate Friday 7, but you will never be able to do it, good sir. Good day, sir.
and see, I like that. It's just one of my favorite tropes. I mean, even though it's the fact it's not a horror film. Look at the movie Taken. Taken has a ridiculous premise, but it's a fun movie because you have these bad guys that kidnap his daughter,
right.
And then that happens like 15 minutes into the movie, and then it's just Liam Neeson fucking people up for the next hour and a half.
Dude, it's like fucking The Gray. It's like The Gray. It's plane crash. Liam Neeson kicks the shit out of wolves for fucking an hour and a half. It's like, yes, I will take that any day of the week. Liam Neeson kicking the shit out of wolves, and then I'll turn around and watch Idris Elba kick the shit out of a lion. I will do that too, because Beast wasn't too bad either. It absolutely wasn't. So, Idris Elba's gonna fight a lion? Fuck yes, I'm on board. You know, Liam Neeson's gonna. I just love. I gotta watch The Gray again. God damn, that was a fucking good movie. Oh, I'd love that. Just the idea of him like looking up the sky. Please help me. Fuck you. I'll do it myself. Then I'm like, yes, do it yourself. Do it yourself. Fucking fight that wolf hand to hand combat. I'm like, yes. Oh man. But so here's a question. This one. The interesting thing about the kind of connective tissue is that I am a huge fan of Your Next. Despite any plot holes or whatever, Your Next was an awesome fucking movie. Predominantly because it was in part fucking Larry Fessenden was involved in that, and I love Larry Fessenden's work. If you're not familiar with him, he's done tons of shit. But Sharni Vincent like established herself as a legitimate final girl in Your Next, like an ass kicking, badass. Out of nowhere, cute little girl, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, by the way, I was raised on a survivalist compound." Who knew? And then she proceeds to fuck those guys up unbelievably. Which
the blender to the face. It's
just blender to the head and then turn that fucker. I was like, oh, He's like, yeah. It's like their dad was like, "Oh, by the way, when you hit him with the blender and you jam it in the skull, don't forget to turn it on." So she was fucking incredible. Now I loved that movie, and Sharni has kind of like is like in her career as dancing this dance between like hardcore badass and kind of like femme fatale kind of look. And she's done a few horror films, but ostensibly her like the ones where she's been a real badass, been like hardcore, were Your Next and House on Willow Street. Both opportunities for a character to really kick ass and take names. I'm curious, which one of these two films, Willow Street or Your Next, was the most hardcore Sharni? Was hardcore Sharni in Your Next or in Willow Street? Because she's kind of kick ass in both. One is kind of hand-to-hand combat. The other one's with guns and just, being overall just, nasty. But let me know. Which one, let us know. What do you think is the more hardcore version of her? Which one was she more hardcore in? I'm going to guess Your Next because, she stabbed her fucking boyfriend in the eye and, beat a dude to death with a fucking meat tenderizer. Travis Brown has never seen either of them. Dude, you've got to at least see Your Next.
Travis Brown, out of a multiple-time winner of the After Dark, whose horror knowledge rivals even us, and you've never seen Your Next.
Never seen Your Next. I've seen that movie. I've seen that movie like fucking 9 times.
It's
just a romp. And plus it's Barbara Crampton. Barbara Crampton every day.
You need to get on that, Travis Brown.
You need to get on that. Your Next is amazing. All right. Well, you know what time it is. What time is it, Eugene?
It's trivia time.
I did it really quiet because Raven Darkstar said she would kill me if I did it really loud. I did it really, really quiet. So Raven Darkstar, I hope that was quiet enough for you. Because she's like, if you do that fucking air horn, I'm gonna beat your fucking head in. She's gonna beat my head in like fucking Your Next style.
Yeah, and then turn it on.
I love that. No, she said, don't do it, JL. It was quiet. I made it very quiet for you. It's all for you. It's all for you, Raven.
It's all for you.
But yes, it is trivia time. So get those Google fingers ready. The first person to get the correct answer to this question in the live chat, and I've got the live chat up right now on my phone. So the first person to get the correct answer gets a special item from the Week in Horror store. So, Eugene, whenever you're ready, give them their trivia question for the night.
The trivia question is, in what year did the first ever ghost house open as a commercial horror attraction in Lip Hook? In what year did the first ever ghost house open as a commercial horror attraction in Lip Hook? The first one to have the correct answer in the comment below gets to win an item from the Week in Horror store.
Yes, we got our first answer. Zero says 1948. Nope, not 1948.
Not 1948.
Oh, extra J, good to see you, bud. It says the people demand the air horn.
Oh, here we go.
Shit.
We got it.
He fucking got that. Fucking sarcasm. Sarcasm with the correct answer. 1915. Yes. 1915. I'm pretty sure that the clue in the question was, of course, Lip Hook. But yes, in 1915, the very first ghost house opened as a horror attraction is what they originally called them. And it was inspired by the work that Madame Tussauds did in establishing when they did like their scary nights where they did wax figures of like dead people and shit like that. That was like Madame Tussauds kicked it off in the late 1800s. And the very first commercial horror attraction as a ghost house was in Lip Hook in 1915. Congratulations, Sarcasm. Sherry Tilly was right behind him with 1915.
By a hair.
By a hair, yes. Strange Lex said 1920, close. Angel Rivera wrote an LSA, both got 1915. Raven Darkstar said 10,000 BC. Casey Cooper, Tony Regime also got it, and Zero said, I honestly was just guessing. And then Extra J decided to hit every single year to try and guess it. But yes, Sarcasm, that is 2 in a row, back to back.
Nice.
Well done. Uh-oh, Travis Brown. We got someone coming for your record. Sarcasm's going to start knocking him out of the park. Pretty soon he's going to show up to After Dark when we do another trivia, and he's going to wipe the floor with you.
Ooh.
Yeah, so congratulations, Sarcasm, for your back-to-back wins. We will get that printed out and sent to you ASAP. Well done. Congratulations. And, of course, you know what that means. There it goes. There's that music. God, that thing takes a second to catch up. It really does. And that Horror Fiend is going to close out another week's episode of the Week in Horror podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us. We truly hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, smash that like and subscribe button. And be sure to hit that bell so you never miss a future episode. Join us next week when we look back at the Canadian slasher Incubus, the return of the Creeper in Jeepers Creepers 2, the genre-breaking undead horror The Dark, and the American slasher Mortuary, which has fucking Bill Paxton in it. I'm looking forward to that one. Be sure to check out Josh Olsen's store at badsamurai.store. He does all the cool artwork you see splattered all over our merchandise, which you can find over at Teespring. And for more from Week in Horror, check out all the bloody links that are down in the description. Follow us on the socials for your daily splatter, your daily horror recommendation. Join our Discord for watch parties, big announcements, all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff with us here at the crew, and all other kinds of horror shenanigans. And you can even support the show with channel memberships here on YouTube, super chats, super thanks, PayPal, or even through our Patreon. Join the higher tiers for early content access and behind-the-scenes fun with the crew, or even just support us for as little as $1 a month. What are you waiting for? Join us. As always, thank you all so much for being the greatest audience a horror film podcast could possibly have. I am JL.
And I'm Eugene.
We will see you all next week. And as always, stay scared.